Good evening, everyone. The time is 7 p.m. and I will now call this regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. The next item is the approval of minutes from our regular meeting on August 7th. Is there a motion?
I make a motion we
I'll
approve
second
those
it.
minutes.
Thank you both. Any errors, changes, omissions?
Look good.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is the acceptance of tonight's agenda.
I make a motion we accept the agenda.
I'll second it. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I make a motion to add an item to the agenda? Or would you like to do it in updates?
Oh, yeah, why don't we do that in updates since we take...
Just for the record, I just want to follow up on the fact sheet development for...
Oh, that's, yeah. So we had a motion made and we had a motion seconded. So are you guys okay with a friendly amendment to that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So where did you want that?
Anywhere you want to put it. Just, we talked, I think it was for the next meeting.
Why don't we put it under, we'll make a new 8
Okay.
and we'll put it, and then, and make a new 9, excuse me.
Okay, no problem.
And then status and committee reports will be 10.
Okay.
All right. So then with that, we have a motion. So all those in favor to approve as amended?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item is communications and correspondence. I don't have anything this evening, so we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience? All right. Moving on to old business. It is our second meeting of the month, which means it is our monthly report from the Committee on Solidarity. And I think PJ is with us. PJ, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thank you. What's going on?
Nothing much. Let's see, we did not have a meeting in August, so our last meeting was on July 9th. And we discussed the 2024 State of Black America report by the National Urban League. And we are continuing to work on getting a discussion for people of color in Portland on that report. If anyone's interested, the report is at the library. They have a bound copy that you guys can look at, or it's easily found online as well. We had Juneteenth in June, obviously, and that was a great turnout. We had great weather, about 160 people came through. We would definitely like to thank the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Education, all the local businesses in Portland who supported us by placing ads in our pamphlet, the vendors who attended, and the performers, and of course the residents of Portland. It was a great turnout, and they're already planning on next year's event, so thank you all.
Great.
When it comes to the Pride work that we're doing in Portland, we are planning on doing a viewing of a documentary, A Self-Made Man by Tony Ferrioli, this October, with a discussion by the creator afterwards. Tony is an advocate for LGBTQIA youth and families, and he created this award-winning documentary in 2013, so he's going to come, allow us to view it and do a discussion afterwards. And that will be in October, and we're putting the final touches on that planning, right now. We are continuing to work with the Historical Society and Portland Library on the Gallery of Portland projects. We had a great turnout in February of this year, and we look to continue that discussion this coming February. They're also looking to start the Voices of Portland podcast, where we are recording some of these stories so that they are going to be recorded forever for people to have a vocal history of the residents of Portland. So that's what we're all working on. And our next meeting is Tuesday, second Tuesday of September. I think that's September 10th, and anyone is more than welcome to join us.
Great. Thank you, PJ.
No problem.
Great. Lots of good stuff.
Yes, thank you guys. If you have any questions, let me know.
Does anyone have any questions for PJ?
No, thank you.
No.
Thanks, PJ. Thank
Thanks.
you. We'll see you. Yeah, thank you. We'll see you next month. Great. So we'll move on under old business then to appointments and reappointments to boards and commissions.
We have nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing? All right. So then we'll move on to item 8, which is new business. There's a number of items, and the first one is a resolution recommending an appropriation and bond authorization for engineering, design, and construction costs related to the town's drinking water infrastructure in order to implement a new water source for the town's water supply system. Our Public Works Director, Ryan O'Halpin, is here this evening as well to answer your questions. So as you all know, we had a special town meeting a couple weeks back on the second phase, the next phase of our water project, which is to drill the production well, that 12-inch production well, and that was unanimously approved at that special town meeting. And we are moving forward with that, and now we also need to talk about what happens after that and how we're gonna fund that. And that's what this is about. And so in order to hit the timelines that we need to put a referendum question, a second referendum question on the ballot this November, and that's what we're doing here. The estimated costs for everything for this, which includes the engineering, design, construction, and all that comes with it of a new pump house and water treatment system. This includes equipment, instrumentation and controls, water main installation from the new water source, and then connecting that water source at either Gospel Lane or Strickland Street. And let's see, also appropriation may be spent on upgrades to the existing water system in the area of the new water main connection, road repairs and upgrades to the existing well infrastructure to strengthen the overall water supply infrastructure, design and construction costs, materials, equipment, surveying and testing costs, engineering costs, construction and administration costs, consultant fees, legal fees, net interest on borrowing, and other financing costs and other expenses related to the project. So all in, we're asking the voters of the town to support bonding up to $6 million is what that would cost. And as we've mentioned previously, the state, particularly the Department of Public Health, has indicated that this is likely eligible and would be accepted into the state's drinking water state revolving fund, which would be a low-interest loan and also a grant. So I believe it's 2% would be the financing portion of this, with a 25% basically grant from the project. So if you put that into an amortization calculator, you're paying off, what did we say, about how much a year, Ryan? It's like let's say $300,000, give or take a year, 300.
276 per our meeting last Monday.
Okay, so thank you. So $276,000 a year. Right now, we're currently paying over $800,000 to MDC. So from a business standpoint, if all goes well, the town would be saving upwards of $500,000 a year by doing this project. Now.
At a future point, it could be even more.
It could. Yeah, so it makes, I think we've all talked about this. We all believe it makes financial sense. Now we're up against the clock. We know that MDC, and I do want to say Ryan and I do have meetings coming up with MDC to talk about what, we also have to have plans in place should, this not go forward for whatever reason, or if it takes longer. We want to make sure that the town has the water supply that it needs for its residents no matter what. So we continue to have dialogue with MDC about that, but we have relayed, I've told the CEO that the town fully intends to see this project through, and MDC has also, they read an article about our project, and they had reached out to say that they are amenable to a shorter term agreement. So that's something that we're going to talk with them in upcoming meetings about. But right now, in order to get this question on the ballot, we need to follow the same procedure that we did with the school bonding referendum, which is what the items on the agenda, A through C, are all related to this bonding question. So the first item is this resolution, and it's a resolution from the Board of Selectmen that's recommending an appropriation and bond authorization for this project, for this $6 million project. So I tried to do the high-level stuff. I guess I'll invite Ryan up right now to answer any questions from the board on this. I know there's a lot to it. There's a lot of material here.
I think we've been over this quite a few
All right.
times.
So I want to thank Ryan too, because this is, we've been working a lot on this, and it's been good to see. And actually, before you start, I do want to say, I have not signed the amendment with GZA on that drilling of the well yet, and so we're waiting to hear back from DPH, because we're trying to wrap the funds that we took from fund balance. We're trying to wrap that into the project, and in order to do so, we need DPH to approve that. And so, just so you know, I'm trying to work on that.
And I think that was another one of the reasons why we tried to make sure that it was all-inclusive, and we talked about any monitoring, so SCADA that would have to be updated as well, because then that also makes that all eligible for the 25% grant. So overall, that saves us.
Yeah, and I'll add that even though that contract amendment isn't signed, it is not delaying the project. We spoke with GZA today, and our email that we intend to sign it as soon as we get DPH approval has them moving and getting everything in place that they need for this to get drilled in October.
Good. I think at this time,
You
we
will
pretty
looking for a
much know
motion,
where we
Ryan?
are.
Yeah, I guess we'll if someone wants to move the motion.
I make,
No, you know I want to move the motion.
All right, yeah, Jim, do you want to read it, Jim, or do you want to?
That's up, I mean, you read a good chunk.
I did
of it.
read a good chunk
We
of
can,
it.
At the pleasure of the board, I'll read it or not, or I just read the portion you didn't, but I'll make a motion that we adopt a resolution recommending an appropriation and bond authorization for the engineering, design, and construction costs related to the town's drinking water infrastructure in order to implement a new water source for the town's water supply system. Resolved that the Board of Selectmen recommends that the town of Portland, otherwise onward known as the town, appropriate $6 million for engineering, design, construction costs related to the town's drinking water infrastructure in order to implement a new water source for the town's water supply system, hereby known as the project. The appropriation may be spent on the construction of a new pump house, water treatment system that includes all necessary equipment, instrumentation, and controls, and a water main installation for the new water source at Portland Recreation Complex to a connection point on Gospel Lane, Strickland Street, and/or Bartlett Street. In addition, the appropriation may be spent on upgrades to the existing water system in the area of the new water main connection, road repairs, and upgrades to the existing well infrastructure to strengthen the overall water supply infrastructure, design and construction costs, materials, equipment, survey and testing costs, engineering costs, construction administration costs, consultant fees, legal fees, net interest on borrowings and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project. Further resolved that the Board of Selectmen recommends the town finance the appropriation by issuing town bonds or notes in the amount not to exceed $6 million, or so much thereof as may be necessary after deducting grants to be received for the project. The bonds or notes may be in the form of project loan obligations issued issued for the project. The bonds or notes may be in the form of project loan obligations issued to the state of Connecticut under the state drinking water state revolving fund program. The bonds or notes shall be general obligations of the town secured by the irrevocable pledge of the full faith and credit of the town. The bonds or notes shall be signed in the name and on behalf of the town by the first selectman, deputy first selectman, and the director of finance, or any two of them, by their manual or facsimile signatures. The terms, details, and particulars of such bonds or notes shall be determined by the first selectman, deputy first selectman, and the director of finance, or any two of them, Said bonds and notes shall be sold by the first selectman, deputy first selectman, and the director of finance, or any two of them, at a public sale or by negotiation in their discretion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so we'll call for further discussion on this now.
We can vote.
I would just say, the financing, this is something that's, we've been talking about water independence, in terms of a source for a lot of years. Really now for the last, really since probably 2017, 2018, when we started to see a dramatic uptick in the MGC rates. When you look at it now, where we used to have water that was 25% of our overall budget, we're now at almost 46% of our water budget is our water cost to MDC. And some of the projections based on some of the early negotiations could put that at 57%. So you're looking, as you said, at anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million in savings long-term. To me, this is something that it makes sense. I think as part of this, we need to make sure that there is a solid fact sheet that gets out, and residents understand that although that this is an investment, it's an investment that's going to pay dividends for the town of Portland for the next 30 to 50 years.
Call the question.
Anybody else, or?
No.
All right, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, the next item is to set a public hearing date regarding a loan from the State of Connecticut Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Program for engineering, design, and construction costs related to the town's drinking water infrastructure in order to implement a new water source for the town's water supply system. And I'm proposing that public hearing to be held at 6:30 p.m. on September 4th, which is our next regular Board of Selectmen meeting. And so if I could, and we're going to have that meeting here in the Buck Foreman. I don't anticipate after the turnout at our last special town meeting, we're just putting this on the ballot. So I don't anticipate too large of a crowd for that. So I think we can have that meeting here.
Yeah.
You need a motion?
I do.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we schedule a public hearing regarding loan from the State of Connecticut for Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Program for engineering, design, and construction costs related to the town's drinking water infrastructure in order to implement a new water source for the town's water supply system, to be scheduled for Wednesday, September 4th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. here in the Buck Foreman Community Room.
I'll second that.
Thank you both. Any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. And then the next one is similar to the public hearing. We will then have a special town meeting that will follow that, and that is going to be at 6:45 p.m., I believe. Is that, should say that somewhere in here, right?
Yeah,
shall be
yeah.
held on Wednesday, September 4th. And then we will adjourn. So this is the resolution, the blue one.
All
I
right.
don't think it says it. Yes, but we'll make, it is 6:45
All right.
p.m.
I'll make a motion.
Okay?
I'll second it.
Great. For the special town meeting to be held here in the Buck Foreman Community Room at 6:45 p.m. on September 4th, 2024. All right, motion made, seconded. Any discussion on that? And actually, I'm just going to read it just into the record, I think, just because it has the full question. I think it's important. So, resolution to call a special town meeting and referendum vote, whereas the Board of Selectmen has recommended that the town of Portland, the town appropriates $6 million for engineering, design, and construction costs related to the town's drinking water infrastructure in order to implement a new water source for the town's water supply system and finance the appropriation by issuing the town's bonds or notes in an amount not to exceed $6 million, or so much thereof as may be necessary after deducting grants to be received for the project. Be it resolved that the attached detailed appropriation and bonding resolution for the project. The resolution is hereby approved and shall be submitted to a special town meeting to be held on Wednesday, September 4th, 2024, in accordance with the attached warning of special town meeting, which is also hereby approved. A copy of the full text of the resolution shall be available for public inspection at the town clerk's office. Further resolved that pursuant to Section 7-7 of the Connecticut General Statutes and Section 1204 of the Town Charter, the Board of Selectmen hereby submits the resolution to a referendum vote on the voting tabulators or the paper ballot for approval or disapproval by the voters of the town in conjunction with the general election to be held on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Further resolved that the resolution shall be placed upon the voting tabulators or the paper ballot under the following heading. Quote, shall the town of Portland appropriate $6 million for engineering, design, and construction costs related to the town's drinking water infrastructure in order to implement a new water source for the town's water supply system and authorize the issuance of bonds or notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $6 million to finance the appropriation or so much as may be necessary after deducting grants to be received for the project, and that's a yes or no. Voters approving said resolution will vote yes, and those opposing said resolution will vote no. Voters qualified to vote who are not electors shall vote at the Portland Middle School, 93 High Street, Portland, Connecticut, in accordance with the procedures contained in Section 9-369D of the Connecticut General Statutes, which procedures the town hereby chooses to apply. Absentee ballots will be available in the town clerk's office. Further resolved that the town clerk is authorized to prepare a concise explanatory text of the resolution, which has been submitted to a referendum vote on the voting tabulators of the town. Subject to approval of the town attorney, the Board of Selectmen authorizes the first selectman to prepare and print explanatory materials regarding this resolution. Such explanatory text and explanatory materials to be prepared in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, Section 9-369B. So that is resolution. And a motion was made and seconded already. Is there any discussion on this?
No.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. So September 4th, I guess, Ryan, I think this board's pretty well informed, I think.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're gonna keep working on this. We're still, like I said, waiting on DPH. We have a few questions outstanding that we'd like to get answered. Really, what Ryan and I are hoping to accomplish is we would really like to get that commitment or a commitment in writing from DPH saying that this loan would be eligible for the DW SRF funding. And that is what we're working on now, because right now we have verbal confirmation, through conference calls, but we really want to, as we prepare explanatory text and inform the public, we really want to make sure that we are crossing our T's and dotting our I's on a $6 million bonding question. So that's one of the things we're working on, and we'll continue to keep this board informed as we do. So with that, we'll move on to item D under new business, which is refunds of excess payments.
Go get 'em, Hoss.
I think, Bobby, you got off easy last time. So.
Yeah. Motion for refund of excess payment for Julia C. Anderson, $218.46 and $1,533.09.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Robert D. Albert, $77.90.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, George A. Law, $91.08.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Brandy L. Creeder, $90.79.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Jeffrey T. Pandolfi, $10.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Teresa R. Giannitti, $230.79.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Mark D. and Diane J. Bordenero, $67.78.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Susan E. and Paul G. Smith, $238.58.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Mika J. Wellentakanis, $164.63.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Steve Deglavani, $81.98.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Refund of excess payment, A Car Leasing Limited, $293.05 and $510.27.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Mark V. Bradway, $35.38.
And second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? And motion carries. Thank you, Babu and Mike. All right, so we'll move on. This is the new item 9 tonight, and this is, John, you had wanted to follow up on the motion. I do want to just, I think it would be helpful to look back at what the board approved initially, because as with this bonding question, the school bonding question has the same language to prepare explanatory text and materials on what exactly we're voting on. I think you wanted more details than that.
Well, I wanted the electorate to come in and have a clear understanding of what we're voting on and what, you know, what expenses we have, what things that we have on our plate right now. You know, and I said it wouldn't have to be anything, I think we were talking about something very simple, almost like a bullet list of items, but we talked about having it ready for the first meeting in September, so I thought we could just check on the status of it.
Sure. I know one of the things I reached out, actually, Mike Pelton stopped by the town hall yesterday, and we had a good meeting. We talked about, you know, exactly this type of stuff with the bonding referendum on the schools coming up, making sure that we have accurate information out there. I did reach out to Dr. Britton yesterday as well, and today he's been busy with getting ready for the first day of school, but I do want to touch base with him soon on this, because there's a lot of the information is going to, some will come from our financial advisor on interest rates, because as you know, if you look at what the feds are doing, there's a likelihood that there's going to be a rate decrease coming up, which is great for those who have bonding referendum questions on ballots. And so we need to get more up-to-date information from our financial advisor. We also, I do believe we've received updated information from the state as far as reimbursement rates go. And I think our reimbursement rate went up from, it had previously been at 51%, it had gone down to 49%, and now it's back up to that 51%. And if you recall, we did assume a 45% reimbursement rate in the bonding referendum question. So we really hedged on that because we didn't know which direction it was going to go in, and it actually went up. So that's good news. And then I know, I believe,
Ryan, just because I did speak with the chairwoman, the Board of Ed chair, about that. The 51% is actually, I think, the base at this point.
correct.
In addition to that, we're eligible for up to 5% because we participate in open choice. Right now, our open choice numbers, we would get the 5%, but you never know what the fall, like, you have to look at what the enrollments are when it happens. So we know at least we know we're at a 51, and we know we're gonna be a little north of that, but we just don't know how much.
Well, yeah, because I did hear that about the 5%. I don't
Yeah.
know if the Board of Education, have they approved, because it did require an increase to the.
My understanding in talking with Laurel, the chair, is that based on the current enrollment numbers, we were good at, like we would get the 5%. We already are hitting that number. The problem is, there are sometimes just the enrollment doesn't, like we make certain number of slots open, available, and if the enrollment she wasn't sure whether or not the enrollment accounted based on the number of slots we make available or on the number of folks that choose to fill them. Because sometimes, right, you can have the slots available so that we would, for example, be eligible for the 5%, but if not enough kids fill those slots, could that mean you're only eligible for 4%, right? But that's typically based on the numbers and how we have been fluctuating. We should be either at that 4 or 5%, but that would all be determined when we get further down the road.
Right.
So it's worth understanding, but it's you know.
If you've read their last, I think it was their last meeting, the minutes
Yeah.
they put out about that, it almost clearly states that they would have to increase the
I think they'd have to include.
enrollment.
Yeah.
So that's one of these things like John's talking about,
Mm.
which is real, which isn't. Where are we on this
We'd have to
question?
confirm that.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why that's why I need to meet with Dr. Britton
Yeah.
about, because I want to get.
Or that could be
I-
something where a
right.
statement is made in that fact sheet with an asterisk that could say, you know, this could increase an additional X% if we meet our choice numbers.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't want to have to get in and explain what that's all about, but it
Right.
would just give everybody an understanding there is the possibility of additional.
I just have one question, Ryan, about the 51%. Are we locked into that percentage now, or can that still fluctuate?
I will be, as far as I'm aware, I believe is when you vote on the bonding referendum question, I believe that's when you lock into that rate, but I want to confirm that, because
Right.
when you approve the bond and you take the bonds out, you know, that's when you're gonna lock
Right.
in to, you know,
Oh.
I believe so, but there's a lot of variables. This is a big project.
Yep.
So I don't want to get ahead of things because I don't have all the answers
Right.
on it yet, but to John's point, this is what, you know, we need to do to get the public, make sure the public's informed.
I did have a conversation with Laurel also, and, because I asked her about the open choice and how the percentage works, and she says it wouldn't be any more kids than we have right now to qualify for that, because there was some concern that it might be adding additional open choice spots to what we currently have. So, her understanding of it is that it would not add more than that, but our current level would qualify for the 5%.
That's good news. Yeah,
So-
I was unsure of that myself,
Yeah.
but again, I
Yeah,
need to.
I really think that the variable is, you'd have to see what the enrollment is at the time when the state is evaluating it. And if kids have chosen, if not all the slots are full and the enrollment drops below a certain threshold, then you may only be eligible for, say, the 4% versus 5, or
So it's-
something. So that's a variable until you get towards is the way it was explained to me.
So I think a lot of this work, as I said, you know, we're gonna need the help of the Board of Education and Dr. Britton, and then also our financial advisor, our finance director for that. But I think, John, you would wanted to talk about the town's capital needs. What are the big projects coming down the pike as well?
I'm just trying to set the picture for the voters, to understand where we stand and where we're going, so they can make an informed decision.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think sort of, what bonding, if I recall, what bonding is falling off.
Right.
Right, because that acts as an offset. What other costs we anticipate would be reduced based on what we do with the other as much of that as we can give, I think.
So we also do need to check, as it says in this resolution that we just approved, we do need to clear everything that we put out to the public through bond council, because there's strict rules that the town has to abide by when it comes to anything to do with the question on the ballot and the material. So I want to make sure that when we do put something out, that it is approved by our council for that.
I just
Right.
want to make sure that there's a nice strong flame lit under everybody's feet, because we've only got 2 months left. And you have to have some time out there for people to gather this data and digest this stuff. And, there's going to be some people that wait till the last minute, but, I want to make sure that this doesn't come out a week before the election. That would defeat the whole purpose of it.
Well, how many people are gonna be surprised when they go to vote and the $6 million on the referendum?
Right,
That's gonna surprise 90% of them.
yeah. Well, that's why there's going to have to be another sheet that comes out
Yeah.
with that.
Well, if you recall.
50% are gonna be
there is.
surprised by the schools.
The school, and we talked about that. We mailed everyone in town a postcard, and we're still going to hear, this is the first I heard about it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, no matter what you do, there's always going to be, unfortunately, I wish we could get the word, I don't know how much more we can do, to be honest, but But those are all good points, and we're going to have something available for that. I think September 4th will likely be a rough draft by then. It won't,
That was expected.
it won't be a finished product, but
Right.
I will have something then for the next meeting. And is there anything else on that, Jen?
Nope.
Okay. So with that, we'll move on to status and committee reports. I have a couple announcement or just some news. There is going to be, with the Brainerd Place project, there's going to be nighttime construction coming up. And we're getting the word out about that. I believe it'll be on the town website tomorrow, but it's going to be from September 8th through 12th, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. likely for those days. And there's going to be night paving, and they will be milling and paving Main Street from the area of Quarry Heights to Express Fuel, approximately, and also on Route 66 from the corner of Perry Avenue all the way down to the Main Street intersection. And we're doing it at night because of the heavy volume of traffic. During the day, it would likely, the project would go on significantly longer and cause much more of a hindrance to motorists if we did do that during the day. So it's going to be an evening or a nighttime project, but we got to get the word out about that. I know it's not ideal for anyone, but it's going to be as quick as we can get it done. So we have been in talks, Ryan's been in talks with Mizzy Construction, who will be performing that work. So the Job's Pond project is moving ahead. We had our pre-construction meeting on Monday. The airline trail will be closed next week because we thought it was going to be this week, but I think they're able to. Right now, they're setting up all the material. If you go to the trailhead at the Keegan property off of Middle Haddam Road, you'll see a lot of material that's been dropped off. And Snyder Civil Construction is doing all that work, and they're working now through, I think Saturday, August 30th is the date for when the pump will hopefully be turned on if everything goes smoothly. So August 30th, the pump will be on, and then we're off to the races on that. So that's moving along. I do have some sad news, or a big retirement announcement, and you know, Jim, I think we should say that Ruth Mayo, who's been the director of the Portland Food Bank for over 50 years, I believe, she's decided to retire at the end of August, at the end of this month, and so right now it's of course a big loss to the town. But we can't thank Ruth enough for all of the years of service. I mean, Ann Nunzi, her husband as well. But certainly Ruth has done a tremendous, amazing job for Portland. The town owes her, a debt that we'll never be able to repay. But we want to thank Ruth. I don't know, we don't have any plans yet, but I'm sure there will be plans to do something. And I have been working. I know there's a succession plan in place, and I do want to thank Selectman Tripp. Jim has volunteered, or been voluntold, I don't know which one.
We'll call it a volunteer, because that's the way.
I think it is, yeah. But thank you, Jim. Jim is going to be doing the books for the food bank, and I believe Kevin Backman's going to be running the day-to-day operation of the food bank. So it's a two-person job that Ruth's been doing all this time, but I know the food bank is in good hands. We have a meeting tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to meeting with Jim and Kevin and Ruth and Tom tomorrow to go over this. It's a big transition for the town, and we'll definitely be honoring Ruth to come. So, but that's big news, and I think those are the big stuff. What do you guys have?
I had nothing. Board of Ed, I had one meeting this month. I didn't meet last evening, so I've got nothing.
Yeah, I had a couple things. Parks and Rec, we had the meetings last week. They had a brief discussion there. They've been working on, and they want to get the updated field rental policy out, and how that's going to go. I think that is currently being worked on. with the town attorney, but the town attorney's had a lot of things on his plate, so, so they're continuing to work on that. At the time of the meeting, they discussed that there were 2 concerts left, so just as a little PSA, last concert is scheduled for this next Tuesday, 6 o'clock, and it's a fan favorite, Great Hill Mountain Band, so hopefully we can see folks there. Andy did update the commission on a project looking to improve the entranceway into the Riverfront Park, really kind of create something that's going to look a little better signage. This is going to be done in partnership with the Brownstone Quorum, the town, and, you know, basically all working together, but basically improve the entry, make sure you have it clearly delineated in and out to make it a little bit safer as it's going in. And I think it's going to end up extending the apron, so that right now there's a lot of the gravel gets pulled out onto Brownstone Ave to try to clean that up. So there's some work that's going to happen there. And I believe they talked about, just a good note, they've been seeing some good support already for the road race, both in sponsorship, et cetera. So
I read
people stepping up for that pretty well.
We're all racing, right?
Yeah, I'll be following you when you guys
I'll follow you in the truck in case you need some help.
Yeah.
I'm just, thanks, kids.
And I'll follow you in case you break down. With water and sewer, really there are a couple of big items that were discussed. One was really the discussion of the town, of the meeting, and the resolution we adopted. Ryan gave a preview to the commission in terms of what we're looking at, and the logic behind it, the $6 million versus to make sure we capture all of those, and really to be able to maximize reimbursements, et cetera. And then I think the other one that is worth talking about is the Co-Ave pump station. The last status that I was able to give you guys had to do with, we were waiting for materials. Materials are in, now it's just getting the contractor and getting them freed up to do the work. So that's progressing well. So that's all I got.
Cool.
Is that still supposed to be on budget?
Yeah, that's on budget. We did appropriate another 250,000, but was that for the Co-Avenue too, or was that just Russell? It was for, yeah, so. Any other updates? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience? Is there anyone online? All right, seeing none. Board of Selectmen, general and formal discussion. Is there anything?
Yes. I've talked about this, I brought it up a number of times, and when I bring it up, I keep getting told that we're gonna put it on the agenda, our purchasing policy. Can we put that in next meeting's agenda?
We can put it on the agenda. So the town purchasing policy, I think it would be helpful if you had a copy of the purchasing policy. Do you have?
I have one at home, yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes. I got it a year and a half ago when I asked you for it.
Okay.
And at that point, it was outdated, and we discussed that
We
for the
did.
times.
Yep.
And if we look at the charter, that's something that's supposed to come up at budget time every year.
Yeah,
to
no,
review that.
we can definitely talk about
I-
it. It's not me that,
Well, you're the boss.
I know, I do know that too. It's just, we have a lot of, we have bigger fish to fry, that's all. Then, it's kind of it's low hanging fruit, but.
For a year, we're going into almost our end of our third term, and we've asked about this.
Okay.
That's all.
I will put it on the agenda for September 4th. So, we will, September 4th, purchasing policy. And it's a financial meeting, so our finance director will be there as well.
That's fine.
Do you have any proposed changes to the purchasing policy, or do you want to?
Well, I'd like to discuss it with him, what Tom feels we should do.
Well, I know what Tom.
I know
thinks we
what he
should
feels he should do, and I get it from all the department heads of what struggles they have to buy things in the bidding process. I mean.
Well, a lot of times, we're a public entity, so there's
Right.
always.
But it's, I understand that, but when you when you're calling up and you're trying to get prices on certain components that fall slightly above what we can purchase, right, without going through just by them calling. We're not getting, some of the stuff I know with the fire department, this happened to Shea, we don't get calls back. Because we never buy it from them. It's like we're wasting time.
Well, you get 3 quotes. You have
Yeah,
to get
we get 3 quotes.
Yeah.
And we get 3 quotes and they don't call back. 3 people don't call back.
Yeah, well, we
But
can't change that.
I know, but we can change what our limits are.
What are you saying?
I mean, we're like
number is
here,
so small,
and
they
this
don't
is-
want to waste their
right.
time giving a quote.
Yeah.
We're
I'm not
tripping
disagreeing.
over freaking dollars to save pennies, is what I'm trying
All
to
right.
get at.
I agree.
And you agree, but you don't,
Well,
we don't want to have this discussion, that's what.
No, I don't. I didn't say I don't want to have it. And we've talked about it. I put forward, what I think the numbers should be. To your point, probably maybe close to a year ago now, and so I think I agree with you that it should be updated. I don't think it's been updated since 2004. So if that.
Only 20 years?
It's only 20 years.
2000, it may have been 2008, but.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, no, so we'll talk about it on September 4th. We'll add it to the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay? Anything else?
Ryan, you had mentioned a little bit earlier before the meeting started that some of our neighboring towns are putting in requests about the rate hikes to try to get the legislature to pull a hearing together. Is that something that you're planning on doing, or is that something you need us to recommend, or?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think it's a good, I'm glad you brought that up. I know, I had read a letter that the town council of Cromwell wrote to the state, I think to the governor's office, asking to convene a special session to address the rate hikes. And so I know that Eversource and these rate hikes have been a very big topic for not just Portland, but for the entire state. I know a lot of people are hurting when they get their electric bills. People have reached out to me to see what we can do, which is not much, but we could ask the governor to convene a special session to address that. And if you want me to do so on the board, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I would be happy to do that.
I think if you've got a Cromwell letter that makes sense, so we can lift a little text from that. If you want a motion, I'll make a motion that you, on behalf of the board, draft a letter to send to, you're sending it to the legislature, correct?
I believe
Asking-
to the governor's
To the
office
governor's
to
office,
convene, yeah.
to convene, to recommend that Portland would like them to convene a hearing on the rate increases. And I think that's important for our residents.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Great. Any discussion on that?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Any abstention? I will, when I send the letter out, I'll CC you all on that.
Okay. Can't hurt.
No. Anything else for general informal discussion?
What is the status of the Main Street sidewalks? Did we get as far as we expected?
Well, they're almost done. We're almost to, at first, we were only going to get to Goddess Farm. And we got a great bid, and we're going to end up around Gildersleeve School. And so they're not done yet. I don't know if we know exactly, do we, Ryan?
They're
Where
about 200 feet short of Gildersleeve.
200 feet short of Gildersleeve today, right?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
coming back on Monday. They were out this week on another job.
So they've been out, the mic can't pick you up. So they were out this week on another job. They'll be back on Monday. And I think there's a couple other things to button up with them. But we did get very far, further than we had originally anticipated.
Okay.
Good.
Any other?
And Ryan, High Street paving tomorrow, is that the?
I can answer that. You want me
Okay.
to- Yeah, because Ryan, unless you want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
come
not
up.
on-
So,
yeah, that's what I'm
so paving on High Street was tomorrow, but Tilcon has another job that went over, so paving will be Friday. And I'm glad you brought that up because we have authorized Tilcon to pave on Saturday as well this week. So we really want to get this job buttoned up before school starts, so we have High Street ready to go. So there is going to be road construction this week on High Street. There's going to be paving. So if you can avoid it, I do apologize for those residents that have been impacted by this. But as I keep telling folks when they ask me, you know, a little discomfort for a few days and you're gonna have a nice road for 10, 15 years plus, you know, so.
No more hopping the car at the stop sign by Fairview Street and High.
Exactly, exactly.
How many days till will they need to complete it? Total?
For High Street or
Yeah.
in general?
No, it's for High Street.
High Street, 5 days, High
Five.
Street.
They start Friday, first day of school's Thursday, so we'll be done the day
That's-
before.
When they close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that include the entire road, plus the edging? Like, is that a complete job?
Yeah, that's right, that's the edging too, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, around they possibly two per curb, we might have to add some curb, but, that's a simple, you know,
Yeah.
flagger in the middle. The buses, everyone will be able to get right around them while they're curbing.
So we might have to add a couple days for curbing. Yeah. Great. So, yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Anything else?
What about the High Street water main?
High Street water main? Ryan, do you want to come up on the High Street water main? Because I know, is engineering done on that?
So the 90% drawings were approved by me. Jacobson's working on finalizing the drawings there. And then I believe another round of steep grants is coming out, which we're gonna look into as well, to possibly add to that project, but we'll look at that when that application comes out. But yeah, right now I don't have an exact date of when I'm gonna get those final plans, bid specs, but I plan on sending it out as soon as we have everything.
We
So-
might have to do that next summer based on the school and all that, you know, the project. It would be great. We don't know about that steep grant yet, though. They are late this year, but
Yeah.
we're hoping I think the legislature approved steep funding to be $1 million instead of 500,000. But I don't know if they raised the amount. I don't know if they raised the amount that they have. So it may just be twice as competitive next time. So we're gonna have to see, but we're gonna try to get that steep grant.
The other thing down there, there is a big right-of-way, about 25 feet on each side. So we plan on doing a lot of the water main off of the road. So as to not, you know, have a significant impact on the quality of the road in the meantime. They are gonna have to bring across the services, so you'll have at every house, you know, a trench across the road. But for the most part, the main trench line is gonna come across the high school side. Then there's a gas main that comes out on Butler. So before Butler, it's gonna 45 across the road, and then it's gonna go on the other side of the telephone poles going down to Clearview. So that way we don't have a huge trench going down the middle of a lane and having to close sections of the road. They could do a lot of work with the road completely open.
Is there any area in there that it makes sense to replace the sidewalk while they're
Yeah.
digging it up?
Over by the high school entrance. We plan on having new sidewalk ramps put in there, and then any other panels that would be affected will be replaced.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Yep, thanks.
All right. If that's all the informal discussion, I don't have any follow-up items, so I will entertain a
I
motion.
make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. Thank you both. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay, good night, everybody.